The space station hung like a silver jewel against the endless black of space. A hub where beings from hundreds of star systems came together. Lights blinked along its long corridors, and the hum of engines and chatter filled the air. Humans were rare here, and among the diverse crowd, Ethan felt oddly small. He was here on a diplomatic mission, his uniform crisp, his helmet tucked under his arm. But despite his training, he couldn't stop the nervous flutter in his chest. He had seen aliens before in simulations, in reports, in hall archives, but nothing prepared him for the reality, the glimmering wings of the Zari, the translucent skin of the Lysari, or the way the Orcs moved with perfect alien grace. Ethan had learned to respect their differences, but he also felt like a visitor on a world where he didn't quite belong. He wandered through the central atrium, trying to blend in. His eyes scanned the crowd, looking for someone he could speak to, someone who might make this dizzying place feel a little more like home. And then he saw her Lyra. She stood near a cluster of alien delegates, her iridescent skin catching the light like liquid metal. Her eyes, deep and reflective, seemed to hold the stars themselves. Ethan froze for a moment, breath caught in his throat. He had read about attraction, about first impressions, but nothing in his life had prepared him for the jolt he felt now. His heart raced, and he realized something astonishing. He had fallen in love at first sight. Leora's gaze met his across the crowded room. There was a moment of stillness, almost like the space station itself had paused to notice them. She tilted her head slightly, her expression curious, as if she could sense the sudden shift in Ethan's emotions. A part of him feared he was imagining it, that this was only a trick of light or the beauty of the station. But when she blinked slowly, almost imperceptibly, he knew she had noticed. Ethan swallowed hard. He wasn't usually this bold. He wasn't usually the type to act on feelings that surged so quickly. Yet something about Lyra made hesitation impossible. He took a careful step toward her, trying not to stumble over the crowd of towering aliens and floating drones. "Hello," he said finally, his voice steady, even as his stomach twisted. Lyra turned to face him fully, her gaze studying him. She nodded politely. "Greetings, human," she said. Her voice was melodic, not quite like anything Ethan had heard before, and it sent a shiver down his spine. "I'm Ethan," he continued, holding out his hand. "I'm here on the United Earth's mission." Lyra's hand was small and cool, and when she shook it, Ethan felt a strange warmth spread through him. "Lyra," she replied simply, "I am observing the delegates from many systems today." They spoke for a few moments, exchanging formalities, but Ethan found himself drawn to her words, her calm, deliberate way of speaking. He couldn't help but notice the subtle cues, the way her gaze lingered on him slightly longer than necessary, the small smile that appeared when he said something earnest, and the tilt of her head as she considered his answers. She was aware, he realized, of more than just the conversation. She had noticed him. She had noticed how he felt. As they talked, the station's alert system suddenly flashed red. A siren blared, and a voice echoed through the atrium in multiple languages. "Emergency. Security breach in Sector 7. All personnel evacuate to safety zones." Ethan's instincts kicked in immediately. He didn't have time to think about his feelings, not when others' lives were at risk. He grabbed a nearby console and began coordinating with the station's automated systems, guiding the flow of panicked delegates towards safe exits. His heart still raced, but now it was for action rather than emotion. Lyra moved beside him, her movements precise and fluid. Together, they directed groups of aliens and humans away from danger. Ethan marveled at how quickly she adapted, communicating efficiently without hesitation. Every gesture, every command was purposeful. He realized that this alien woman was not only beautiful, but extraordinarily competent. As they worked, Ethan's attention kept drifting back to her. There was a grace to the way she moved, a subtle awareness in her actions that made him think she could see not just the chaos, but the people behind it. And perhaps he thought with a mix of awe and embarrassment. She could also see him not just as a human, but as someone who truly cared. The emergency was resolved within minutes. The security breach contained, and the station's systems stabilized. Delegates were safe, and the crowd began to settle. Ethan took a deep breath, feeling the adrenaline leave his veins, replaced by something heavier, more personal. Liara turned to him then, her eyes reflecting a mixture of respect and curiosity. "You acted quickly," she said, her voice calm but carrying a subtle warmth. "I observed your decisions. You prioritize lives over protocol. That is admirable." Ethan blinked, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Thanks," he said. "I just did what anyone should, I guess." He glanced at her, his nerves flaring. You were amazing out there too. I don't think I could have coordinated half that without you." Her gaze softened. "You speak honestly," she said. "I notice it. It is rare among humans, and among many others." Ethan's chest tightened. That simple acknowledgement made him feel like the universe had shifted slightly. Liara wasn't just observing him. She was seeing him, truly seeing him. And he realized with a sudden, overwhelming clarity that he didn't want this moment to end. For the next few hours, Ethan and Liara found themselves working side by side, assisting with follow-up checks and coordinating reports. Every shared glance, every small word, felt charged with an energy neither fully understood. Other delegates noticed their cooperation and commented on it, but Ethan barely heard them. His focus was entirely on Liara, her presence, her subtle reactions, the quiet intelligence in her gaze. At one point, they paused near a viewport overlooking the vast emptiness of space. Stars glittered like diamonds, scattered on black velvet. Ethan found himself speaking before he could stop himself. "I don't usually. I've never felt this way before," he said, his voice low. "But when I saw you, something just happened. I can't explain it." Liara tilted her head, studying him intently. There was no judgment, no impatience, only curiosity. "You speak of your emotions openly," she said. "Most beings do not. Yet I sense sincerity in you. It is unusual and compelling." Ethan's heart skipped a beat. "So you know?" he asked, uncertain. Liara's eyes glimmered. "Yes," she admitted softly. "I have observed it from the beginning. You do not hide your feelings well. And perhaps that is why I notice you more than others." He felt a rush of relief, mixed with something far stronger. Knowing she understood, that she had recognized his emotions, made the fear and hesitation melt away. And yet, there was still a distance between them, an unspoken tension that neither wanted to cross too quickly. For the rest of the shift, they continued to work, but the air between them had changed. Every glance carried meaning, every shared word hinted at something deeper. Ethan realized that Lyra's awareness of his feelings didn't intimidate her, it seemed to intrigue her, perhaps even encourage her. And in a place where he had felt so small, so out of place, that awareness made him feel significant in a way he had never experienced. As the station lights dimmed for the evening cycle, Ethan reluctantly prepared to leave the control hub. He glanced at Liara, who gave a subtle nod, acknowledging the end of their shift but not the end of their connection, walking through the quieting corridors. Ethan felt a mixture of exhilaration and nervous anticipation. He had fallen in love at first sight, and the alien woman had noticed it. The thought was terrifying and thrilling all at once. Somewhere deep inside, he knew that whatever happened next, his life had already changed forever. And as Liara watched him from the observation deck, her eyes reflecting the starlight, she felt a stirring of curiosity and something unfamiliar, a pull she didn't fully understand yet couldn't ignore. She realized that the human's emotions were genuine, raw, and entirely unexpected. And perhaps, just perhaps, he was someone worth knowing beyond the formalities of their respective worlds. For the first time in a long time, she felt a spark, a hint of connection that went beyond logic, beyond protocol, beyond the barriers of species, and as she turned away to monitor the station's systems, she found herself thinking of him, wondering what it would mean to truly let that spark grow. The next morning, the space station glimmered like a jewel under the soft light of the nearby star. Ethan walked through the corridors, his mind still swirling with thoughts of Liara. He couldn't shake the feeling that something important was beginning. A connection that went beyond first impressions and polite greetings. He soon learned that he would be assigned to work closely with Liara for the next diplomatic mission, a critical task that required both human intuition and alien insight. As he entered the briefing room, he found her already there, reviewing holographic charts and data streams with her usual focus. She looked up, her eyes meeting his, and for a brief moment, the world around them seemed to pause again. "Good morning, Ethan," she said, her voice calm, but carrying a warmth that made him flush. "We will need to coordinate closely today. Our success depends on collaboration." Ethan nodded, trying to keep his composure. "Of course. I'll do my best." The mission was delicate. A newly discovered planet on the edge of explored space held resources crucial to several star systems. Negotiations were tense, with representatives from multiple species vying for control. Ethan and Liara had to present a united front, balancing diplomacy, strategy, and quick thinking. As they prepared their approach, Ethan noticed subtle changes in Liara's behavior. She seemed to watch him more intently, her glances lingering in a way that suggested both curiosity and something else he couldn't quite name. He felt a thrill at the thought that she still remembered the honesty he'd shown the day before. The shuttle ride to the planet's surface was tense. Outside the window, the stars streaked past as they descended through the atmosphere. Ethan tried to focus on the technical readouts, but he couldn't help sneaking glances at Liara. She was calm, reviewing her notes, but occasionally her eyes would flick toward him. Each time, he felt that unspoken connection between them strengthening. When they landed, they were greeted by representatives from other factions, each radiating confidence and subtle intimidation. Ethan felt a knot in his stomach but took a deep breath. He reminded himself that he had faced danger before and that his courage and honesty were his strengths. Lyra's presence beside him added a steadying influence. Knowing she trusted him gave him confidence. The negotiations began. Words were exchanged, charts analyzed, and alliances subtly shifted as each party tried to assert influence. Ethan noticed that Liara had a keen sense of reading others, understanding motivations, and anticipating moves. He tried to match her insight with his own human intuition, and together, they became an unexpected force. During a particularly tense moment, one of the alien delegates tried to manipulate the discussion. Using a mixture of threats and persuasion to gain advantage, Ethan spoke up calmly, pointing out inconsistencies and proposing a fair solution. Liara supported him, adding precise observations and reinforcing his points. The group fell silent, pressed by the combination of human honesty and alien wisdom. After the negotiation, they were allowed to explore a part of the planet. The surface was a strange mix of crystalline formations and soft, glowing flora. Ethan couldn't resist marveling at the alien beauty surrounding them. Liara walked beside him, occasionally pointing out features of the landscape, sharing knowledge that only someone from her species would know. Ethan laughed, a genuine sound of joy, as a small luminescent creature scuttled across their path. "It's incredible," he said. "I've never seen anything like this before." Liara smiled, her eyes sparkling. "Many things in the galaxy are beyond human experience. Yet your excitement? It is refreshing. Rarely do I see humans react with such openness." Ethan felt a warmth spreading in his chest. He wanted to tell her everything, how he had felt from the very first moment he saw her. But words seemed inadequate. Instead, he simply walked beside her, letting his presence speak. Their exploration was interrupted by a sudden tremor. The ground shook beneath them, a hidden crevasse opened nearby. A group of alien scientists was in danger, teetering at the edge. Without hesitation, Ethan sprinted forward, grabbing the nearest scientist and pulling them to safety. Liara was immediately at his side, using her strength and agility to rescue others. Together, coordinated an impromptu rescue, moving swiftly and efficiently. Ethan marveled at how seamlessly they worked together, as if their thoughts were connected. The danger passed, and the rescued group thanked them profusely. Liara looked at Ethan then, her expression unreadable for a moment, before a soft smile appeared. "You acted without hesitation," she said. "Your bravery. It is consistent with what I observed on the station. You are Extraordinary. Ethan felt a rush of emotion. I could say the same about you, he replied. You're incredible, Liara. I don't know how I would have managed without you. They returned to their shuttle, the tension of the day giving way to a quieter, more reflective mood. Ethan finally found the courage to speak, his voice gentle. Liara, I need to tell you something. I felt something the moment I saw you, something I've never felt before. I fell in love at first sight. Lyra's eyes widened slightly, and for a moment, Ethan feared he had been too bold. Then she reached out, placing a hand lightly on his arm. I knew, she said softly. From the beginning, I sensed it. And I feel something as well. It is rare for me to feel this way. Ethan's heart leaped. Relief, joy, and disbelief washed over him. You mean, you noticed, you feel it too? Liara nodded, her gaze steady and sincere. Yes, I have observed you closely, human. Your honesty, your courage, your care for others. It has touched me. And I believe there is potential here, something beyond our expectations. The shuttle's engine hummed around them, but Ethan felt as if the universe had fallen silent. For the first time, he felt completely seen, completely understood. And Liara, who had always been so careful and composed, showed a glimpse of vulnerability, a recognition that their connection was real. Over the next few days, as the mission continued, Ethan and Liara spent more time together, sharing knowledge, laughter, and quiet moments of reflection. They learned each other's habits, preferences, and little quirks. Ethan admired her intelligence and grace, while Liara appreciated his courage, his empathy, his unshakable honesty. Their partnership became the talk of the mission. Other delegates noticed the unusual synergy between human and alien, the way they complemented each other, and the quiet understanding that seemed to pass between them with a glance or a gesture. Ethan felt proud, not for recognition, but because he and Liara were discovering something extraordinary together. One evening, after a long day of meetings and explorations, they found themselves alone on a high observation deck overlooking the planet below. Stars shimmered in the sky, reflecting off the crystalline terrain, creating a scene of breathtaking beauty. Ethan turned to Liara, his voice low and steady. Liara, I don't know what the future holds or how this will work between us, but I know this Sci want to be by your side. I want to understand you, learn from you, and be with you. Liara studied him for a moment, then stepped closer. Ethan, I have felt the same since the moment you came into the station. Your presence is comforting, challenging, inspiring. I do not know what the future holds either, but I wish to explore it with you. A soft smile spread across Ethan's face. He reached out, gently taking her hand in his. It was a simple gesture, yet it carried the weight of all the unspoken words, the feelings that had grown from a single glance to something deep and undeniable. They stood together in silence, watching the stars, feeling the pull of connection stronger than any distance in the galaxy. Ethan realized that love, even at first sight, could grow into something real, something enduring when nurtured by honesty, courage, and mutual respect. Liara squeezed his hand gently. The galaxy is vast, Ethan, but perhaps together we can navigate it, not just as allies, but as partners. Ethan nodded, a sense of peace settling over him. Yes, Liara, together. And as the stars shimmered above and the alien world stretched below, they felt the promise of a journey that was only beginning. A journey not just across the stars, but into each other's hearts. For Ethan, the human who had dared to love at first sight, and Liara, the alien woman who had recognized it, the universe suddenly felt smaller, warmer, and filled with possibilities beyond anything they had imagined. The space station, the distant planets, the diverse civilizations, they all faded into the background as two beings, so different, yet so connected, began a story that would carry them farther than any mission or starship could ever take them.